What's up YouTube? Mike here today to teach you a little bit about Aperture in a series or a mini-series or something that I'm calling the How This Thing Works series. I said series too many times. So how's it going, everyone? This is going to be the first video that I'm tackling in this little, I forgot what I named it, in my little How This Thing Works series. And the first one I'm going to do is Aperture. And I'm choosing Aperture first because I feel like it's the most difficult to kind of grasp as opposed to shutter speed and ISO, which are the other two that I'm going to be covering. And then I'm going to do an additional fourth video where I kind of demonstrate how to use all three of them together and how they kind of affect each other. So I'm going to break down my three videos for Aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. I'm going to break them down into different sort of sections. So the first section that I'm going to do is, what is it? So what Aperture is actually the settings in your lens that determine how much light is getting into your lens. Like I said, this is the most complicated one, or at least was for me to fully wrap my head around. Then again, I have a monkey brain. But probably actually seen an Aperture before, and if you played Portal, it's Aperture Science. I'm not a real gamer. But their logo is that little... I don't know why I'm trying to draw it with my fingers when I have technology that I can just show you right now on screen. That. It's just a series of blades inside the lens that either open or close to sort of block the light or let the light in. Second part of this is, how does it work? The science behind it gets really confusing because what it is, and it's anytime you see F and then numbers. So if you see F 2.8, that's an Aperture. You can even see it on your smartphone. I'm sure it's in the settings somewhere. If you put your pictures on your computer in some sort of software, it'll show you the settings essentially that it used. Or if you're buying a new phone, they have it on the specs too. But, point being, F numbers is your Aperture. Now, why it's F is because it's F stops. And stops refer to stops of light. As you get deeper into it, then you'll know whenever you change your Aperture how many stops of light that affects, I guess. What the hell was I talking about? Part 3 is, what does that mean? So, obviously, if you're letting more light in, it's going to be brighter. If you're letting less light in, it's going to be darker. Now, you're probably thinking, why would you want it to be darker? Or maybe you are, or maybe you're thinking, no, I know why you'd want it to be darker, you f***ing idiot. Fair enough. What the effect your Aperture has is that at the wide open setting, it's going to make your depth of field very small. So you can see in this picture, that depth of field is tiny. It's just this little like sliver that goes across the picture. And you need to be very precise with it. And that's kind of depending on what you're taking a picture of, that's sort of the difficulty with using wide open apertures, is that your depth of field is tiny. And if you don't nail it, then it looks weird because, say if you're taking a picture of somebody, when you're doing a portrait, your main focus, you want it to be on their eyes, or at least the eye that's closest to you. So they're sitting like this, you want this one. That's a different video. But say if you're taking a picture of someone and then you don't nail the focus and it hits the tip of their nose, even the small distance from the tip of your nose to your eyes is enough to make your eyes blurry in that wide open aperture. If you're, depending on the lens, especially like the kit lenses and stuff, that's not really gonna, you'll probably be mostly fine there. I'm talking about the ones like this guy here, which this is a f2.8, which I didn't put the cap on because apparently I don't care about my equipment. This is f2.8, so that's what this picture, the picture you just saw, this is the lens that was taken with. 5.6 looks like this, and then if you keep going up, you can see that the depth of field gets bigger and bigger till eventually you can see everything that's in focus. The confusing part about Aperture sort of bleed into the fourth part. How to use it, and basically what are the layman's terms of what I'm saying. Basically what you're looking for is that the smaller number that you have your Aperture set to. So like I said, this is a 2.8, which means that's the widest that can go is 2.8. The smallest number you can set yours to, the less that's going to be in focus. So the smaller your depth of field. Small number, small depth of field. The bigger your Aperture is set to, if you have f32 say, the more that's going to be in focus. That would be the sort of layman's terms on how to use it. And I probably should have put a disclaimer at the beginning saying that this is going to be for people who are just starting out and they just want to know how to use it. They're not really interested in the science yet. Maybe they're taking pictures for one of their friends. Maybe there's a bird like nest across the street. Maybe you're just trying to learn and you're making a career out of it. Either way, you know, anyone who's like a photography nerd that's tuning into this, I understand that I'm brushing by a lot of details, and I understand that there's a lot more science and in-depth nature to this, but I'm trying to make this make it as accessible and digestible for, I guess, mass audiences. So basically just keep that in mind. Small number, small depth of field. Big number, big depth of field. The most confusing part to me is that it's technically speaking that if you have a 2.8, even though that is your smallest number and that's a small depth of field, that means your aperture is wide open, so it's a bigger aperture. In my head anyway, my spaghetti brain, which I don't know why I downgraded from monkey brain to spaghetti brain, but I had a hard time remembering which was which, and I confused myself a ton. The final piece of advice I'm going to give is just go out and shoot. There's a ton of things that I've learned when it comes to photography that until I went out and actually executed on those things and tried to use them out in, I don't want to say in the field, because that sounds way more serious than anything I've done, but just take it outside, experiment with what I'm talking about and like what you've learned. If you learned anything in this video, I hope if you're still here you've learned something. Just take it out, use whatever lens that you have. It doesn't matter if it's a kit lens, it doesn't matter if it's a lens you borrowed, whatever it is, and just notice how the aperture affects your picture. No matter what, and like I said, I don't care what you're taking a picture of. Just go out and just try to use the settings, even if it's on your, on a bench outside. To me, especially when I first started, one of the things I one of the things I like to do, I should really know how to speak if I'm going to do these videos, was try to find something ordinary and then try to find an angle on it to make it sort of extraordinary. Now I know that's probably the most annoying statement you've heard, at least this week, but it's a sort of general principle that I followed when I first started. Just like I said, you find a picture of a bench, you go, okay, but if you find the right angle and if it's the lighting is nice and maybe you go black and white or something and you do some nice editing on it, it's a pretty cool picture. And people hang in their bathroom or something. that's right, all that hard work and all this money you spent is for someone to hang your picture up in their bathroom to shit next to it. It really is an honor. So that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Like I said, I'm making 3 more videos in this little series right now, which is how this thing works. Series. I keep overusing series and I don't know why. But next up will be shutter speed. So if you want to learn all the settings that you're going to kind of need to know, then tune in for the next video. If this helped you out, like the video. That helps out a ton. I just showed you my hitchhiker thumbs. Hopefully I'll see you on the next one.